Hello, this is Bino. I'm an arborist and a certified tree worker. What I like to do is share tree climbing tips with beginners and experts. Today what I want to talk about, I had a question about pendulum and what is that? So when we talk about pendulum in a tree, it's just like a pendulum. If you had a pendulum and you're rocking it back and forth, same kind of idea. With a pendulum though, the higher your tie-in point and the more vertical your line is, the better it is for you to climb. So if you have a high tie-in point and you're walking out on branches, most of your weight will be on the rope. What happens with that is it gives you good balance. You can walk on smaller branches, and what would happen is if you have a high tie-in point, so if you walk out on a high tie-in point and you were to slip, you can possibly recover. It's like a slower fall, right? And you could possibly flip around and put your feet on the trunk. Now, if you don't have a good pendulum and you go more horizontal, when you do more horizontal type of a line, like if your line's like this, and now you're walking on a branch, what happens with that is that now you have to use more of your own balance. There's more weight on the branch, so you can bend branches, possibly break branches, and then if you were to slip, it's more of a wicked drop. For a higher point, more inertia builds up, and there's less chances of you to be able to flip around and recover by throwing your feet on the trunk. There's a way to help keep yourself in vertical with a good pendulum. Some people call it a ponytail redirect, or I've heard it called ponytail technique. I've always known it as a retrievable MRS system, or actually used to be retrievable climbing system. But when everybody started changing names, I used to call it the retrievable, or now I call it the retrievable MRS. Nowadays I hear people calling it a ponytail technique. So we'll go up and we'll show you how it works. So what I have here, I've got a tie-in, and just say that I'm gonna work this side of the tree. And then once I get done, we'll just say some of these branches are like further distance, just for the video. So what I want to do is keep a good pendulum. So if I drop down and I go far and I say walk on some branches over here, and then I'm going to go this way and hopefully maybe walk on the branch that's on that side. If I go there, a lot of times I have to come up over the branches and go on that side if I want a good pendulum. But what I can do is send my whole system over. So what I've already done is I sent my running end over on that side of the tree. And then I put a loop right here because I'll plan on going down. And what I'll do right now is I'll walk on this small branch to show you what a good pendulum can do. So I'm like 250, and this is a tiny little branch below me. So what I'll do is I'll go down to that branch. Then after I do that, while I'm down there, I'll retrieve my climbing system over these branches and bring it back to the other side. First, I'll walk down to the branch, and then we'll do the retrieval part. So I'll disconnect. Let me drop down real quick. Okay, so now this is a real small branch, right? So now I'm gonna walk out on this. And now because I have a good pendulum, you see how it's not really bowing that much. Now once I get here, now if I go to a branch above me and I throw my lanyard on, it'll help me be more secure, right? Okay, so now I could do work with this good pendulum that I have. Okay, so now I'm gonna walk back over this way, and I'll get prepared for the retrieval of my line. Now, if this branch here was maybe a little bit higher, but it got in the way of my final, which is way up there, and I also have another branch in the way of my final, if I were just to climb over, it would change my angle drastically. So let me show you. So if I try to walk out here, okay, and so if my plan is to walk up onto this branch, right? All right, now I start walking you can see how it's going to be more horizontal. It's not going to be good for me. Okay, so what we're going to do is send this whole system up and over and back to me. So now I'll have a better tie-in. So now that I've got to this point and I'm going to send my system up, I'm going to throw my lanyard on. Then I'll grab my system here. Now, what's real important is that you don't just take your system off and send it. What happens is, usually you'll clip it together. Now, if you send your system and you pull this and this goes up, what can happen is if you get hooked on something, you could pull your line, your climbing system away from you, and when it comes back over the branch, you won't be able to reach it. So what you want to do is do like a slip knot, right? And connect it to your carabiner, either above or below your climbing hitch. Either way will work. Okay, now that you did that, you don't want to just pull this, because sometimes if you just pull it, it can go, and if you have a tight crotch, it could get stuck in a crotch and you might not be able to get it, especially if you let go of this end. So it's a loop system. So what you want to do is grab it and start sending your loop up as it's going. You see it there? Slowly, slowly. Okay, now it's getting up toward that crotch, and see how it goes over that crotch. Okay, now you're guaranteed that it's not going to get stuck there. Now you start pulling the running end, and as you pull this running end, it'll bring your system back down to you. So now here it goes, slowly. I know it's past that branch, and now I'm bringing it back down to me. We've cleared it, and I'm slowly bringing it back. So now I have my system. I have my pendulum back. All I got to do is connect myself back to my climbing system. So I'm going to use a side loop here, and I'm going to connect to this side. There. And now I have that good pendulum, and I'm not going to be under other branches. So to get to that side will be a lot easier than what I would have done if I just tried to use that horizontal branch there. So all you got to do, get back up, and to step over will be a heck of a lot easier. So now it's a lot easier if I want to walk this way. So I get over here a lot easier. You can see my pendulum's better, and now I can walk out a little bit further. There you go.